Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
It's a beautiful morning. It feels like it might be another pretty warm day.
It feels like it's going to be really steamy. Yeah.
I know. Of course, we're going to give you our weather update in a few minutes. But for those of you tuning in just now, you're probably saw the sunrise, or if you got up already, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. Yeah.
That's right. And we are approaching mid-August. You know, when I look at yesterday, there was a tropical wave that passed over. We got some showers here in the city. I don't know what it was like in the other districts or whether there was a concentration of rain in other areas. But I thought to myself, you know, we are in the rainy season and we haven't gotten a substantial amount of rain as yet.
Yes, that's true. So usually, you know, June and July, we'd start seeing a lot more than we have recently. Of course, that is both good and bad. You know, some of us are waiting for some relief from the heat for some of the showers, and of course, there's bigger implications of, you know, the agricultural community, of course, and others, people who are sort of dependent on these seasonal changes. If they stay fairly consistent, of course, we don't want the other extreme, where we see flooding like, you know, like we saw last year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was wondering about the status, especially when it comes to droughts. The year before we saw the flooding, which would have been 2019, I think, we saw droughts that had caused quite a bit of problems. So, you know, it's just one of those strange times. We just look at how the environment is changing and the implications there. And but one thing we do know is that with all these changes is that we see stronger storms, and we are in the hurricane season. The period that's coming up is considered to be an active period in our area, and so we have to be even more vigilant. So we do want to remind you that you should have your hurricane plans in place. I see Jamaica is preparing at this time for the passage of a storm. And, you know, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, they just, you know, started to crack down because of COVID, have these very rigid curfew times, and now they have to prepare for a storm. So
yes, and I think that it's always a reminder that, you know, despite all that's going on that's related to the pandemic, and, you know, in the context of Jamaica, it's a great example because, of course, you know, like you said, they are putting very stringent lockdown measures right now, but of course, you can never forget about the other things which may happen. And of course, as you said, we are in the hurricane season. We've been seeing very, very active hurricane storm seasons in the past, let's say, 10 years compared to recently, where we've been seeing tons of named storms and very strong storms. And as you rightly said, you know, our climate is changing and we're going to have to adapt in the meantime. And if you've been following international news, you know that there are a lot of heat waves going on in Europe, particularly in southern Europe. Greece is being affected by lots of wildfires right now. The entire country and parts of Turkey as well. But we've been seeing a lot of extreme temperatures, and this is sort of a trend which has been continuing. You know, I just threw out the figure of for the past 10 years, but we know that you know, weather events have been getting a lot more extreme in recent times.
yeah, and of course, you know, we've been spared, but what the message is always the same, that we have to be prepared. And so we do want to take that reminder, you know, especially as we approach mid-month, that you consider putting some money aside to be able to have some assistance if you do need to, if we do come under the threat of a storm and you have to get that hurricane plan in place. Nonetheless, the conversation should be had with your family to talk about the potential what you
What
plan
can
to
it-
do if there's a
And
storm.
it also occurs to me that a few weeks ago we did have the Red Cross on our show, and they were giving us some tips on how to prepare your supplies for a hurricane, and we explored several different things that you should have. One is like something could be as simple as a knapsack, which you might have to like just grab and go in the event of an emergency. But of course, if you have more time to prepare, you can have your box, and you can of course do this for over months, over a few weeks. Just add some supplies to it, some first aid supplies, some canned foods. You never know if you and your family might have to move at a moment's notice.
Yeah.
So especially now since we are in the hurricane season, do be prepared.
That's right. And of course, that's just a reminder of potential threats, but the real threat that we have all been talking about and continue to talk about is COVID. And yesterday we reported 3 new deaths, 3, and I always, go back to it. These are families that have lost their loved ones in the most difficult of circumstances, the isolation, the fact that you don't get to receive the body, there's so much pain that comes with loss, and then when you add the layer of the COVID protection that has to be put in place, it really does make it more challenging. So we encourage you to keep on taking all the necessary measures as we are definitely in the midst of a very bad third wave.
Yes, absolutely. And what, of course, is the danger is the overwhelming of the health facilities. And as we know, over 90 new cases were reported yesterday. And that is, of course, a very worrying trend if we consider all that could happen, especially with the status of the country as it relates to our vaccinations.
Yeah.
And it's important to note, especially since they have confirmed the presence of several variants in Belize, and that includes the Delta and Lambda variants, which are getting a lot of international attention for the severity of infection that it does cause, and its easy transmissibility.
Yeah. So they detected the Delta, Gamma, Epsilon, and the Alpha. And as we've heard repeatedly from our health professionals, Delta is of great concern because of how easily it spreads. So you're talking about one person being infected in a household and passing it on to generally everyone that lives in it. So this is a very different scenario from what we were facing in 2020. So we do urge you to take all necessary extra precautions. And we await to see if there'll be any changes to regulations for the country. We are hearing more and more about specific hotspots in the country, whether measures will be taken, as we saw in the south with the villages of Midway, Barranco, and Conejo. Then we're going to see what's going to happen moving forward.
Yes, and of course, if there are any updates to give you in that regard, we will keep you updated both on our morning show and our nightly newscast as we follow the progression of COVID-19 in Belize.
All right. And with that, we're going to get moving into our lineup for today, but we're going to get you started with some motivation to start your morning right. And that means it's time for Eye Opener. And our Eye Opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. There is nothing in your life that cannot be overcome. Whatever the situation or problem, there is always a solution. When our next best course of action seems unclear, any dilemmas we face can appear insurmountable. Yet, there is nothing we cannot overcome with time, persistence, focused thought, help, and faith. Whatever the situation or problem, there is always a solution. And if you remember to look within, even as you search around you for the right course of action, you will be able to center yourself, clear your mind, and see that nothing has to be impossible. It is during our darkest hours that we sometimes need to remind ourselves that we don't have to feel helpless. You have within and around you the resources to find a solution to any problem. And remember that if a solution or choice you make doesn't work, you're always free to try another. Believe that you can get through anything, and you will always prevail.
That's a great motivator, motivating thought to start the morning with. Of course, I especially like what they name in the beginning as the keys, and I guess those would, or just to paraphrase, time, focus, thought, and persistence. Of course, those are pretty important, and a lot of times when we're going through something, we feel hopeless, and we feel as though either there's no solution or that there's no way out, and that it's easy to succumb to that sort of feeling. But I think one of the things that I like to do, and I've said it before several times on the show, is whenever I'm facing something, I like to think back. But when I was facing maybe a similar problem, or it doesn't even have to necessarily be related, but I think about things that were stressing me out maybe like, let's say, 1 year ago, and think about how I got through those, or how minuscule those problems seem a year later. So that when I think about what I'm going through right now, I can judge it, and I think, you know what? Well, I've done something like this before, and I can get through it again.
Yeah. Don't forget one of those identified in the eye opener was help.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it is important to build a really strong network around you, and not necessarily because they'll save you, but they just become a really great support system to get you through tough times. So yeah, that's a great eye opener for this morning.
Yep, for sure.
Now let's find out about our weather. As we said, it's starting off as a real hot day, so let's see if that's going to change during the course of this morning. And we're going to go ahead and, oh, there we go. We got Francisca Wellington on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How about you?
Girl, it is hot out there. Is it going to change over the course of today?
Check it out again.
Is it going to change over the course of today?
Oh, yes, for the hot air.
Oh, all right. Break it down for us then. What are we expecting?
Okay then, so the atmosphere is less moist and unstable. A tropical wave affected us yesterday, so that's out of the way now. So we'll be seeing sunny skies today and some cloudy spells. That's for tonight. For today, partly cloudy skies tonight. And we'll only be seeing isolated showers or thunderstorms.
Okay, and or temperatures.
Okay, so that's what I was telling you. Along the coast, we are going for a 90 Fahrenheit. Inland 94, the Maya Mountains 82, and then overnight 79 along the coast, 73 inland, and 68 up in the Maya Mountains.
Are the winds going to help us out at all?
That's okay. That's a very good question because we're just seeing very light winds out of the east-northeast, and it's producing slight seas. So I believe you have been experiencing for the past couple of days the atmosphere very still. Okay, so that will continue, and that's what's going to send up our temperatures.
All right, well, we've been warned. And what lies ahead for the weekend?
Okay, for Friday night, again, we'll be seeing isolated showers or thunderstorms.
All right, and the tropical weather outlook?
Okay, so we have tropical depression Fred. It was about 80 miles northeast of Guantanamo, Cuba, and it was packing winds of 35 miles per hour, still moving west-northwest.
Anything else that we need to be monitoring?
Not at this time.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that update.
You're welcome.
You have a great day today.
Thanks, same to you.
There you have it. It's good.
Oh, look
I
at your
was hoping to give you. I
enthusiasm
know.
on a hot day.
I was hoping to give. I was hoping that we'd get some better news. But you heard that it's going to be pretty hot. So
As a good Belizean, you wouldn't be satisfied if you heard it was a rainy day or rainy
True.
weekend ahead either.
True. But yeah, stay inside if you can. It's going to be warm today.
All right.
But we do have to get our show started, and we do have a lot of interesting conversations lined up for you this morning. We are going to be starting off our show with a conversation about the resumption of the Commission of Inquiry, which started in February of this year and has been on pause for a number of months. And we are going to be getting an update from the chairman of the commission, and that will be our first topic of conversation this morning.
All right, the second part of our show, we have 5 Belizean nurses who are training in Taiwan. They're learning operating room procedures, and they're going to be joining us live from Taiwan to tell us about the experience and what they hope to do when they return to Belize.
And finally, we are going to be joined by the owner of Dit's Restaurant, and they're going to be talking all about their famous jam rolls, and we're also going to get to see how they're made. And that's going to be our final conversation for this morning.
All right, so we're going to take that first break, but before we do, we got a birthday shout out, and we're saying a happy, happy birthday to
Monisha Stewart. So from all of us here at Open Your Eyes on Channel 5, Monisha, we want to wish you a very, very happy birthday and many more.
We're going to take that break now, and we'll be back and get our conversation started on the Commission of Inquiry. So please, stay tuned.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
It's a fact that with Smart, you get truly unlimited everything. Only with Smart, you get unlimited data anytime. While with the other guy, it's only double data on weekends. With unlimited data every day with Smart, there's no need to wait. So, it's a fact that our unlimited plans beat the competition. Stop being measured and told when to use your data and get unlimited talk, text, and data. Experience the true unlimited plans with Smart. That's a fact. Make the switch and live smart.
Introducing Edam A Cheese, the A+ Dutch cheese to hit the Belizean market. As the name says, it is of A-class quality, the best Dutch cheese in Belize. Edam A cheese is creamier, less salty, and simply more delicious. Don't be left out. Get your A cheese at a supermarket near you. A cheese, exclusively distributed by Unitex Company Limited. Call us at 610-3626 or 610-8910. Follow us on Facebook at Unitex Belize.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
And I got vaccinated to protect myself, my family, my patients, and my community.
Good morning, Nurse Martinez here. I got my vaccine because I want to protect my family, especially my patients, and everybody around me, everybody I come in contact with.
Mi nombre es Nurse Chinchilla. me vacuné porque quiero proteger mis familias y mis pacientes.
I'm Dr. Nunes, internist at Solar Regional Hospital, and I got vaccinated to protect myself, my staff, and my patients.
Soy el doctor Eduardo García, he trabajado 22 años en Belice y yo me puse la vacuna del COVID por la sencilla razón de protegerme a mí mismo, proteger a mi familia y proteger al país de Belice, porque es importante pensar en Belice.
And we're back. And if you're joining us right now, we are starting our first conversation for this morning. And as we said before the break, our first conversation focuses mainly around the resumption of the Commission of Inquiry by the government of Belize. And this was, of course, started back in February of this year and has been on pause for a number of months. Joining us, we have the chairman of the commission, Andrew Marshallek. Good morning.
Morning.
And thank you for joining us. We appreciate the time that you've taken to come and discuss this. Now, perhaps we can just start by giving a summary of perhaps where we are today, given all that has occurred when the commission started, and let's just start with what's happened so far.
Well, we had a very public derailment, as you can recall.
Dramatic end.
Yes, I think everybody is well aware of what happened. During the course of the commission proceedings, the whole issue of the cutting of public service wages arose, and relationship between government and the unions became strained. And the unions were, of course, participating in the commission. They had been one of the persons who had requested it in the first place. And their commission member had indicated that given the impasse that had arisen between the unions and the government, that they would no longer be participating in the commission. And just around the same time as well, there was news of the sales of some airplanes, I think. And I think that only served to make matters worse. So they took their decision and they communicated it at the commission hearing that they would not sit until that relationship improved. So the commission decided that given that one of three would not be available to sit, it would not sit until it was fully constituted again. In July, the unions formally indicated to me that they were prepared to sit again, and we scheduled a hearing for the 16th of August, hopefully to pick up where we left off.
So is that to assume that means the unions are now in a, as you said before, there was a strain on the relationship. So does that mean that they're now in a better place?
Well, I can't speak to that, but what it means is that they no longer take the view that whatever that relationship is of sufficient weight to warrant their decision not to participate. So it may be that they're not happy, but they've decided that this needs to be finished as well. I think part of their leaving was to make a statement at that point in time, which they succeeded in making.
What are your thoughts on how things came to an end at that point? There were two things, and we can focus on making the statement and the plug being pulled on the proceedings in the way that it was. But the core issue was really speaking of investigating past actions that the unions alleged were still taking place.
Well, I believe there were some sales of airplanes. There were sales of airplanes in the past, but the transgressions that we were looking at had more to do with motor vehicles. And I think some 112 instances of sales were being looked at in detail by the commission. Yes, there seems to be, and it's clear from the proceedings, from the testimony of the witnesses so far, including the former Prime Minister and the Financial Secretary, that there weren't clear rules being followed in the disposal of motor vehicles in particular. Just asking people to point and identify the rules presented a problem. Nobody can show you where they are. You could pick up lots of little pieces here and there, but there seems to be no cohesive approach as to how to dispose of assets to secure the best advantage, economic advantage for the people of Belize.
And would you say that that is, or the lack of, let's say, procedure or I don't know, maybe even propriety, so has been the biggest revelation from the commission, from the proceedings so far?
Yes, when we started looking into it, you could discover certain rules that apply. There were some rules in the Finance and Audit Reform Act, for instance, which speaks to procurement, which includes, and there's a section on the sale of assets, and it speaks to, you hear it all the time, 3 types of tender procedures: the open tender, the selected tender, and the limited tender that was supposed to use to dispose of these assets. Those were completely ignored, hardly even mentioned, so that even the law that governs this type of activity, for some reason, wasn't being heeded, not even in the slightest.
Now, when you look at the scope of work that has been done so far from the Commission, would you say that this is still an exercise that will prove to be productive for a move towards good governance?
I think it has already.
How so?
It has raised awareness as to the importance of these types of activities to the bottom line. The sale by the government, the present government, of the 3 airplanes raised such a furor. It drew attention that nobody would have paid attention to 2 or 3 years ago. And it drew that attention because the Commission had raised awareness that there's, and the unions had raised awareness that there are ways to do these types of things and they're being ignored. So I think it has had an impact already. I think it can have further impact, but I think its main impact has been had. I think the finishing off of the witnesses and the exposure of exactly the sales, the details of the individual sales that took place will only strengthen people's resolve for the need to reform that area and for proper rules to be put in place and followed when government undertakes on that kind of activity.
And then we speak about this sort of impact, but I think a lot of our viewers are going to be thinking that whether there's also going to be consequences faced by those who did, if there was wrongdoing, and the scope for what recovery, if any, penalties that there's going to be faced. That's I think the first question that a lot of people are going to have.
Well, the Commission is a fact-finding body, so it's to investigate and disclose to everybody in a very public way exactly what happened, and it can certainly make recommendations, but it goes no further than that. In terms of holding people guilty of wrongdoing accountable, we fall right back to the existing institutions that have always been responsible for doing that. And we see those institutions already being challenged. We see reports, for instance, of the wrongdoing in the Ministry of Works. Minister Montero, formal reports to the police, moves to the DPP. It seems to have just fallen by the wayside. I think it demonstrates as well a need for us to carefully look at those institutions that are responsible for holding wrongdoers accountable and asking ourselves, why is it that they're unable to function the way they were intended? There were also complaints to the Integrity Commission. I haven't heard a peep from them.
Now, what is your hope? I mean, we have seen the interviews that have taken place already because it is publicly aired. And you've had some cooperative witnesses. You've had some that are very barefaced to say that this is basically just a situation that has been a general practice. And it's not something that Belizeans didn't know. We're not happy with, not satisfied. But it is something that people kind of know to be a common practice. And you've had others who basically don't remember anything. So my question is, how are you going to prove, if you don't have cooperative witnesses, the details of where the errors were made?
Where errors are made are really right in front of you. You don't really have to go anywhere to see them. In fact, you could stand off a mile off and see them. Our problem lies in a culture of acceptance. For us to be able to look at a mile off, see wrongdoing taking place, and somehow justifying to ourselves or inactivity or indifference towards it. So we will see the wrongdoing happening, we will look the next way and pretend as if it isn't. But it's not because you can't prove it. In fact, most of these things are hardly sophisticated. You scratch the surface and they drop right, they fall right apart. So it's not really about that. It's about why it is that we as a people are so willing to accept and look the other way when it happens, and to pass it off by saying, well, it's always been happening, it'll never change. And certainly if the population adopts that approach, it will in fact never change.
Well, I think sometimes experience becomes a guide for the skepticism that develops. And when we look at previous commission of inquiries where we've seen damning information being presented, and it does in fact cause an upset in the public, there's very little action that comes thereafter.
Certainly, but those commissions of inquiry did their job. You saw they exposed the wrongdoing. It is not for them to investigate with a view to charge or prosecute crime. That's police. It's not their view to prosecute in court, to identify charges and to lay them in court. That's for the DPP. It's not the role of the commission to identify wrongdoing by those holding public office, breaches of codes of ethics, fundamental breaches of law, and to hold them accountable in their capacity as elected or public officers. That's for the Integrity Commission. There are bodies responsible and charged with significant statutory power to deal with these things. What we see is a repeated inaction on the part of them, and you have to ask yourself why that is. But that is not, you can't lay that at the foot of the commissions of inquiry. Commissions of inquiry are there to poke the facts, throw it out, so that we have, in a public way, a very public understanding of what happened. The consequences that flow from it are for the normal institutions that have to deal with that type of consequences to take action.
Now, you have said before, I think in a prior interview, that really and truly there is blame all around, from the public who elects the officials to the public officers who are involved. Expand on that for me.
Yes, the kinds of wrongdoing that we see taking place, no one person can do it and get away with it. A minister can't walk in a government ministry, direct that a public works bulldozer be transported to my private farm, leave it there for 3 years, have fuel being delivered from the ministry every week, have workers being transported to and from every day to work his private business, and everybody at the ministry can sit and pretend as if it's only the minister's fault. There are so many administrative structures in place designed to catch and prevent that kind of activity. It should have been caught from the financial side by the financial officer, from the management side by the CEO. It should have been caught, I mean, at multiple levels, so that you can only do that and get away with it if all of that breaks down. Now, how does all of that break down at the same time? It doesn't. It's deliberate. That's how they have it. That's how it is functioning or not functioning. So you have a systemic issue, and all of us play a role in that issue, in that system. So we are all, to the extent of our roles that we play, responsible for what happens there. And if we as an electorate are prepared to look the other way when those things happen and still put them back into office, then we too are responsible for it.
So how, as the commission resumes, you know, given with all that said, how do you, or how does the commission really, the fact-finding exercise? How do you choose how do you choose your questions? How do you choose what information is going to be relevant for the purposes of the inquiry, based on all that we've said?
Well, where we started was we decided early on we'd go from a top-down approach, because there's historically a tendency to start from the bottom up, and then at the first sight of wrongdoing you stop, and then the top isn't even questioned. So you would have noticed that we started with the Prime Minister and then moved to the Financial Secretary, then the head of the Vehicle Care Unit, and then moved down to individual sales. And that is what happened. Establishing first what was the policy and procedures and that were supposed to be guiding all of this, how it was implemented, determining from them what is their knowledge of the extent of the sales that took place. They provided a list, 113. That list hasn't reconciled with information from other departments. It's slightly off, but they provided a list of what they knew had been sold, 113 files. And it's based on that material that was provided to us that we've proceeded to call witnesses and ask questions. So that forms that's the core of the activity and the basis for what comes out. The very first one we started was the sale to Hugo Pat. And when you scratch the surface of a simple sale of a motor vehicle, look at all that falls out. So while the transactions on the face of them appear simple and straightforward, when you investigate them, even in a cursory way, you're finding all sorts of things coming out in front of you. We see sales to ministers of government. We see sales to party officials. We see sales to party faithfuls. We see sales and to other people whom we're not able to identify connections. But in all of them, what is consistent is that there's no competitive bidding for any of it. Everybody, each purchaser is just handpicked and a price, and there's no systematic way of coming up with it. So we see fundamental deficiencies in what was done. And it's been going on for a long time. So these practices, as bad as they are normalized within the system.
Of all the information you've uncovered so far, what has surprised you the most?
I don't think anybody has really been surprised by what we've found. As you say, Belizeans has been aware of that these things have been happening for years. I think all that we are able to appreciate is the extent of it, and really the wanton disregard for rules. I'm involved in a number of companies in the private sector, and to engage in the disposal of assets in that kind of way is remarkable. I mean, you wouldn't even consider it. I mean, it's a recipe for ruining your business. But it seems, and we have ruined the finances of public finances, but it seems like for some reason when we're dealing with tax dollars, these considerations become less important.
And moving forward with the Commission of Inquiry, you know, I think that there's a lot of attention in the persons who are to appear before. I think it was Minister Boots Martinez that was supposed to appear the day. Is that who you're going to resume with?
Yes, we tried with the same list, but I don't believe Mr. Martinez is in the country. Yeah. We haven't been able to serve the same people over, so it'll be it'll be the remaining people who we were able to find.
And do you imagine that out of the inquiry, there is sufficient evidence to be able to levy charges against persons involved?
You know, the breach of the Finance and Audit Reform Act is a criminal offense. We've seen repeated breaches in the past. We've seen $3 billion spent without approval, the sale of 100 vehicles without going through the mandated procedure. It doesn't seem that earth-shattering when you compare it to some of the other transgressions in respect of which nothing has been done. So I don't know that it'll go that far. I can say that breach of the Finance and Audit Reform Act was part of the reforms introduced in 2011, made criminal offenses.
So you don't know if I mean, you're saying that there is sufficient information, there is sufficient facts coming out of the inquiry.
Oh, it's clear
but
that
you're doubtful that anything will come from it.
Well, it's not even the case that they acknowledge that these rules should have been followed, but there were these slips, and for one reason or the other, we didn't quite follow it. It's that they were ignored in their entirety from the beginning till the end. They weren't observed at all, as if they don't apply. That gives rise to a whole different set of considerations. And the question must be asked, how is it that our assets can be managed in a way that ignores the financial rules in such a fundamental way?
And I think that that goes back to something that we were talking about a little bit earlier when I was sort of asking the question about how is it that the Commission chooses to proceed. So is it with a view specifically just to identify if there was wrongdoing, or is there more of a focused approach to say that, well, we know that this wasn't done, or we know, and therefore we're going to discover the full extent?
As I said, the Finance and Audit Reform Act introduces 3 types of tendering procedure. The opening tendering procedure requires that you advertise publicly and invite bids for the asset. I just indicated to you that the entirety, all of the files, there were no competitive biddings for any of it. When you move from an open to a selective, all you've done is, instead of advertising publicly, you invite a smaller group to compete for the bid. And when you go to limited, it gets even smaller, can get to 1. And that must be justified by the circumstances. It's only in exceptional circumstances that you're able to do that, and in emergencies and that type of thing. What we see is not even the slightest attempt to comply. And that is evident from you open each and all the files. So it's not even that they were trying to comply. It was just simply ignored. So you see it right through the whole batch of files. And that you see from miles away. It doesn't require any real scrutiny to uncover that.
Yeah, I think when the prices of some of the vehicles were revealed, a lot of Belizeans out there who are waiting on a bus right now thought to themselves, had I been offered that price, I would be able to have a vehicle to use. And
of course, and that's what the tendering procedure is designed to do, not only to select who gets to buy, but how much you must pay. And the price is determined by some sort of competition in the market between bidders to buy the vehicles. So if you're relying on a procedure where a minister gets to just select, whatever personal subjective criteria he utilizes to choose buyers, and the price, there is no real methodology for it. You see attempts to make it look as if some efforts being made, the reliance on customs valuations in a number of limited instances, and even that, when you look at the files, I mean, it's less than 10-15% you could find the valuations in. Most of them don't have any of that. But the valuations aren't even designed to discover market value. It's just a design to calculate the loss to the revenue from the initial importation of the item into the country, because government doesn't pay duties. So when the car is now sold to somebody else, inclusive of all taxes, you want to factor into the price the loss that you would have had from a tax perspective. But those aren't designed to discover market value. So there was no real effort to discover market value or to realize market value for any of the cars sold. Nor was there any transparent process by which potential buyers were selected or identified. It just didn't exist. There wasn't even an attempt to do it.
It was very blatant and barefaced, kind of just handpicking your buyers and putting a sticker price.
That's what it is.
Yes.
I mean, and as I said, you see it from a mile away. It's not even hidden. It's not hidden. And I think it stems from acceptance of the fact that this was a correct way of doing it, or a mistaken belief that it was a correct way of doing it, or just simply from the lack of will to discover what would be the correct way to do it. And there was no attempt to regularize, to establish any formal policy, any formal rules to deal with it. There was an attempt to rationalize what was done after the fact, but the rationalization doesn't really hold true when you look at what was done, because there really was no method to what was being done there. If somebody wanted to buy and he thought his request would make favor of the Minister of Finance, and the Prime Minister did sign off on 99% of all of them, personally. So it's his personal discretion being exercised. If he liked you and wanted you to have it, you would have it. If for some reason he didn't want you to have it, you wouldn't.
Let me ask you, the unions are a part of the commission, and we have spoken quite a few times with the PSU about the responsibility of public servants, or the involvement of public servants in corrupt practices, as what we're seeing before the Commission of Inquiry. Now, there is what should be done, and then there's the reality of it. And the reality of it is that very few workers will stand up against a supervisor or a minister and say, no, there's a policy for this. So in your mind, and from everything you've uncovered so far, how do you envision that there will actually be a change to this systemic problem?
Well, that's it. Apart from changing rules, we always tend
because
to
there is a policy and procedure, it's not.
Well, we paid a consultant after government changed in 2008 to examine procurement policies, and he produced a book. I'm sure it wasn't cheap. And there is a part that deals with sale of government assets. I uncovered this months afterwards, because I kept asking everybody, where are the rules governing this? And nobody can tell me where they are. But the point of the matter is, there is no magic rule that you will create that will fix the problem, because a part of the problem is not the rules, but it's the people. I had an economics professor years ago. He happened to be a Jesuit priest, and he said, systems are neither good nor bad. People make them good or bad. You put bad people in a good system, they will ruin it. You put good people in a bad system, they make it work. So there's an element of the personnel and the qualities that we bring as people to the application of these rules that determines whether or not rules work or not. We always seem to be searching for this magic formulation of rules that will fix everything, when the rules themselves can never fix everything. What the other component of it is fixing ourselves and our own value systems in order to make those rules function as they were designed.
Yeah. But sometimes it's beyond that. Sometimes it's protection mechanisms. It's things like what's being explored at this point, the Whistleblowers Act, and ensuring that if I do speak up, there is a level of protection.
Sure, you can make those arguments. But the fact of the matter is that even in the face of whistleblower legislation, with all the protection in the world, if you have people who are content to look the other way, you will get no whistleblowing. You will get no whistleblowing.
So from what you're saying, and that's why I started off with where you imagine this will go, it almost feels like an exercise in futility.
No, it's not. What it is a gradual recognition of the importance of rules, yes, but also the importance of the quality of people and the integrity and principles of people who get to apply those rules. And a learning that all these things need to be fixed if you expect the whole to work as it should. I always, I've said before that these rules, we always face problems and think that the solution lies in conceiving a proper rule. Rules, even those that become law, are nothing but words on paper. They mean nothing in and of themselves. It's the institutions and the people who get to apply and enforce them that determine how well they will work or whether or not they will achieve the intended results. So you need to look at it holistically. And this overemphasis on rules to solve a problem really takes away from the importance of developing an appropriate culture towards these types of activities. If we have a culture of fiscal discipline instilled, a culture that gives the importance of spend, that recognizes that every public dollar wasted is an opportunity lost to address poverty, to appreciate the full impact of what those deficiencies result in, why we do not realize the kind of development that we really ought to. I think as that dawns on us and dawns on society as a whole and takes root, then you will see the kind of cultural shift that you need to see to fix these things. But there's no magic bullet there. There's no magic law that will be passed that will solve it. It just doesn't work that way.
Let me use that as a jumping point to jump into another topic, because that's kind of the very same argument against the 10th Amendment that is proposed, that changing the Constitution to ensure that people who are assigned to these oversight bodies will change at the appropriate time, tied to election cycles, is only trying to legislate fixing a problem that shouldn't be there.
The 10th Amendment seeks to limit the terms of appointments on these commissions. These commissions are supposed to be autonomous, supposed to function independently, and serve as a check on executive power within the constitutional scheme. The amendments, as I see it, seek to address a problem that was encountered in that there was a perception that none of those appointments were truly independent, and there may be a basis for it. For instance, the problems they had with the Public Service Commission, the chairman is a past member of UDP cabinet, and the commission is stacked with party political officers and supporters. So there was this notion that these bodies were not independent, and in order to fix them, you would need to have the appointments vacated and then embark on proper or new appointments. And I think that is what motivated the proposals to change. Now, some of the change themselves, when you look at it, might give an appearance of impartiality or an appearance of a lack of independence on the commission by coordinating the appointment of the commission with the change of political office. So there are trade-offs, both sides. But independence goes well beyond, and this is to get back to your original point, to tie it back, it goes well beyond the organizational structure of these commissions. Because apart from the organizational independence, and this is defining the commission and putting it within the organizational structure of government so that it sits off one side and it doesn't take commands from cabinet. That's what that means. It's only about one dimension of independence. There's also functional or operational independence, and that has to do with money and personnel and resources and the availability of those resources to the commissions to perform their function. you will see that all these commissions, although they are organizationally independent, functionally are still very much captured by the executive in that. And it was demonstrated again by the Public Service Commission. They couldn't even answer correspondence or receive correspondence because they have no office. They have no money. They rely on the Ministry of Public Service to do all of that for them. And the minute that was withheld, the commission was paralyzed. So there is no functional or operational independence. And then apart from that, there is also individual independence. And this is staffing these bodies with people who are of integrity and adhere to principles and are not swayed by political considerations in the performance of their functions. That comes from the culture of the pool of people that you get to put on these commissions. And you don't get to legislate that. And it is really the most important one because it comes back to what I said my professor taught me years ago. Because if you get good people on the bottom, it doesn't really matter what the organizational independence is, and it doesn't matter what the functional independence is. You will get principled decisions grounded in integrity, no matter who is put there, because every Belizean would be guided by the same principles. So the reliance on the structural protections, the organizational protection and the functional protections, really stem from the weakness in the latter one, the willingness of our people to be influenced by those kinds of considerations, too easily influenced by it.
But by putting the tenure of these commissions tied directly to the amount of time an administration is in office, we would love to see, I would love to see personally, that we are politically mature enough that a person can be appointed in that position by a particular administration, knowing that their time will come to an end when that administration leaves. However, by virtue of being appointed, you then tie yourself politically, or very often, as we've seen, which is what is the problem that's being circumvented, it is a politically connected person that is appointed to these posts.
Yes, no.
So you're worsening, it may be worsening the problem.
It does give a wrong impression, but giving a wrong impression to fix what is substantive wrong is a decent trade-off. It's hardly as earth-shattering as it's being made out to be, because as I said, even if you look at the functional or operational independence of it, but it doesn't exist. So if the argument is that these amendments are undermining independence of these commissions, when these commissions have and can't function independently, what's the purpose of the criticism? If you want to fix the lack of independence, you have to go to the heart of the problem.
Aren't they two separate things? Being able to function independently, as in having a secretariat or staff, or being able...
Having access to money.
Yes, resources. That's one thing. But how long you serve or who, by appointment is separate.
And also, yes, it is separate. And also the quality of the individuals appointed, personal integrity and principles by which they act. And what I'm saying is that when you take all of that into account and look at the whole picture, the whole notion of independence of these bodies is really an illusion. And you point to that illusion, and then you point to one little defect in an appointment process that hardly makes a difference. To suggest that the sky is falling down is hardly the case. You have far bigger problems there to confront than the term of an appointment. Term of appointment is hardly here nor there. The quality of the people you put in is paramount and can make it function regardless of what the term is. Imagine this. If everybody in Belize were people of integrity and principle, and we would all make reasonable decisions and proportional decisions in those functions, whether it's the Public Service Commission, the Elections and Boundaries Commission, whichever commission, all of us would apply those same principles. It doesn't matter which one of us are appointed, you would still get good decisions out of those bodies. The structural protections that you wish to emphasize only becomes important because of the culture. If the culture changes, it works fine. We're focused instead on changing the minutiae of the rules and not looking at the primary reason why these bodies don't function as intended. It has to do with a lack of functional independence, and this is true even for our courts. When judges want to go on holiday or when they want to go to a conference, they have to go beg the ministry for permission to do it, for funding to do it, and that's because that's the ultimately independent institution. There is no functional independence there. And the quality of the people. I would prefer that we focus, because I think change comes from each of us, on addressing what we control first, which is that. And I've said it before, if you want people of integrity and principle in office, then raise your children to be people of integrity and principle, because they will hold the office shortly.
And so do you think that the amendment is positive development then, given all that you said, in the way that I suppose it seeks to solve this issue, these issues?
I won't characterize it for you, but I'll tell you the pros and the cons, because there are pros and cons. As a democratic society, you're supposed to be led, government is supposed to comprise or be determined by whom you elect, who the populace votes for. When you acknowledge that these bodies, although they should function independently, are in fact a part of government, then you can also come to the conclusion that it promotes democracy for the composition of these bodies to reflect the will of the people through the vote, which is to give the opportunity to those leaders whom we've elected into the office to make those appointments, and not be left with a situation where an unpopular, ousted leadership made the appointment, but the appointments must persist throughout a significant portion of the claim of the new administration. So there is that. On the flip side of it, on the downside, linking the appointments to the period of office of political office holders gives an appearance that politically appointed people will be appointed. I say appearance because it doesn't necessarily mean that that will be so. You can find quality people and it all works fine. So it does create a little risk, and a risk to perception and an appearance of independence of these bodies. But it's a risk that can readily be managed by reference to how you treat it operationally and how you treat the appointments themselves. So you have to look at all of that as a whole and not just focus on the one little characteristic that detracts, that possibly detracts from a notion of independence. It's more important to me to look to see the kinds of people that are put on and whether or not these institutions are empowered and funded and allowed to function as intended, or if it is the case that government will be insisting on decisions being taken certain ways and will be continuously changing commission in order to members of the commission in order to secure their will.
You know,
I can point out
a skeptic will look at the situation and say, well, if there wasn't so much of a challenge in getting some of the commissioners to resign when this new administration had taken office, this perhaps wouldn't be an amendment that would have been brought forward.
I don't think it would be, and I think it is in large part a reaction to the notion that government was being held hostage in key appointments and key bodies to personnel, the whims of personnel appointed by the past administration. And if it were the case that these appointments were properly made and they were functioning in an independent way, then they wouldn't have, or they shouldn't have been an issue. But we see face-offs with, for example, the Comptroller of Customs and the Public Service Commission, where the new administration decided that they favored a particular candidate, and the whole administration had topped another candidate and expected him to follow through. And you have the same old Public Service Commission insisting that it be done a certain way, or rather sitting back and not facilitating the change that the government wanted to see. So they see it as an obstacle to what the people elected them to do, to achieving it. And that is precisely why they were motivated to make the amendment. When you look at the amendment, it certainly does achieved that and makes it so that these commissions now are vacated with each election cycle.
What used to be a gentleman's agreement, it will now be legalized.
Yeah, well, I don't even know that it was a gentleman's agreement, but it was certainly an expectation. Yes, so now the office is formally vacated, and each elected government gets to make their own appointments. The fact that it's coordinated in that way does give an appearance that the appointments might be political, but it doesn't mean that they are. So I think it's more important to see how the appointments are handled than the coordination of the terms.
You know, using examples that you have given to us right here in this conversation, in a utopian society where everyone did in fact have that level of integrity despite political affiliation, which is fine for people to have, that would be ideal. But we understand the mechanics of how things work in this society. As you pointed out when we were speaking about Commission of Inquiry, there is an expectation, there are sometimes procedures set out, but people still follow through with practices that have been established. What makes you think, or what makes you feel that in the amendment of the Constitution, in this manner, for these very important oversight bodies, that it's going to be any different?
Well, I don't know that it will be any different, but it does give the opportunity for a change to take place. I would hope that that kind of change takes place. That's why I'm saying it's more important to look at how the appointments take place and how these bodies are treated in the future, whether their roles are respected and they're empowered to do what they were designed to do, or whether you keep seeing an undermining of it and a stacking of it with people who just will follow whatever the political directorate requires. That is where our issue lies. But from my perspective, the perspective of just a member of the citizenry in Belize, the change that I can implement, that I have control over, that I should focus on, is really making it sure so that to encourage a cultural shift in all of us that doesn't tolerate that kind of disposition. Once that takes place, the whole problem falls away. Now that's a monumental task, and it's a generational task.
Of course.
Progress is made incrementally, but it's still something that we can take personal responsibility for. And I think in approaching any problem, especially problems of that nature, of a governmental, systemic nature, we have to focus on what it is that we can do to make it better. And we have the power in our hands to solve it, maybe not tomorrow, but in the next 15 years with the next generation. If we uphold and reward integrity and teach the importance of adhering to certain basic fundamental principles.
All right. And since we have you here, we got you to weigh in on the 10th. Let's just very quickly, what do you think of the 11th?
The 11th is a societal norm, and it's really for society to decide whether or not that is the type of person they want to serve in that type of office. There is no universal truth to it. It is what we're prepared to tolerate as a society. I can see that an argument being made that somebody who's been guilty of an offense that has warranted that kind of response, imprisonment, should not be entitled to hold the highest office of the land. I can also see an argument that just because somebody did something wrong once doesn't mean he will continue to do it, and he may still have positives to contribute. We don't have to toss him away like a used rug. I can see that. The truth of it probably lies somewhere in the middle, and it's finding where it is that we as a society are comfortable and are happy. That's the standard that should be set. So it's something that requires discussion, but it's also something that we can't look to others to decide for us. And we have to set that norm as a people. Yeah.
All right. Well, we appreciate the conversation this morning.
All right. Thank you.
and we will see how things unfold. What's the formula for the public airing of the commission?
The same. I don't expect any cuts.
There's a padlock on the cord?
Well, I've never had control over the cord. I have to trust that it'll work, but I don't think that error will be made again.
Yeah. I know we jest, but it was a very serious thing, and we do hope that we don't see it happening again.
Yes, me too.
All right. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Belizean nurses studying in Taiwan. That's coming up in just a few.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Continues to expand its internet coverage countrywide to help you live a smarter life.
Our villagers are very happy. They are pleased to know that Smart went the extra mile to put a tower in our village so that our villagers can get live stream on their TVs and they can get their kids doing their online classes. I want to say to Smart, thank you for making it possible for us to get internet in Gardenia Village. We really do appreciate it.
Smart continues to take the internet and mobile services to communities across Belize. Now save even more when you bundle your Smart broadband with Smart mobile services. Smart, bringing people together.
I feel honored. Truthfully, like I said, as a teacher, I feel that this is my highlight for the month, I guess. A beautiful way to start the month. To be among students who are aspiring to be someone. Today, we trust in you. We believe in you. Because to have been chosen out of the 350 students, there is a spark in you that we saw, that we believe in. Now it's up to you to go out there and let that spark illuminate the world. We need that in Belize, and we at Social Security are depending on you to bring that light to Belize.
Why, Tony?
Boy, Keith, what you going on, man?
I actually come see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing that thing since April 15th, you know. And I just routed the last batch, must be about like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What are you going on?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
We're back, and if you're joining us right now, we are just getting our second conversation for this morning started, and we are going to be speaking with some Belizean nurses who completed training in Taiwan. And joining us now via Zoom, we have Eneli Alfaro, Evita Choco, Luz Bacon, Sheila Dominguez, and Viviane Villas. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
You all look so smart, and it's very late at night there, I should say, right?
Yes, we can see the clock. It's what is it? Almost 10? Or?
Yes, almost 10.
And well, as nurses, you guys are used to long hours, right?
Ooh.
That's so true.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me just say congratulations on completing your training. And we wanted to touch base with you to find out what the experience has been like and how you came up upon this opportunity. So let me just, who has the microphone? You can start. Vivian.
Hi. I would like to sincerely thank and I'm so honored to have been a recipient of the Operating Room Nurse Training Program here at Chime Medical Center. I applied through my hospital, Western Regional Hospital, and I am ecstatic that I was selected, and I'm even more floored to have completed such an advanced training program.
Okay. And Elvita, it's you that has the next mic?
Hi.
Yes.
Pleasant good morning, Marlene and Mr. Gavin. Thank you guys for having us on the show. Yes, I am one of the recipients for the ORN program, and I am very glad to be a part of it because we learned many things that will be very conducive in the healthcare system of our country, Belize. So I am very fortunate to be here.
All right. Let's hear a little bit about how how you guys got into the program in the first place. So why don't Sheila? Why don't we talk about that?
Okay. First of all, a memorandum was circulated through all the hospitals, government hospitals, and I applied through it, fill in all the requirements that were needed. We had to be registered nurses with experience, hand in our grades from our previous university. We also completed our curriculum vitae and wrote a letter in which we express why we would like to come to study here in Chime Medical Hospital.
And Luzbey, tell me what the reaction was when you found out you were selected.
Good morning, Belize. Well, it was either a yes or a no, so I said I would give it a try. When I saw the memorandum, the first thing that came to mind was, okay, this is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I directly decided to apply, and it was either a yes or a no, and when the matron messaged me, it was tears of joy and tears of sadness at the time because I was holding my baby, and it was a bittersweet moment knowing that I would leave her soon, but I feel honored that I was one of the 5 recipients to be here and to be able to finish this program successfully.
Yeah. Wow, so quite a sacrifice on your end. Now, Eneli, why don't you start to tell us about how rigorous the program itself was?
Well, it came with sacrifices, as I mentioned before. It started up from there. Coming to Taiwan, it was a little bit challenging due to the fact that we didn't know the language itself. So, here we're quite different. But I'm glad people here are very friendly. We managed our way through first. We started with some classes, practical classes, and we're getting to know the culture. So,
yeah. Vivian, you want to add something?
Sure. I would like to say that here at Chime has state-of-the-art equipment, modern technology for minimal invasive surgery, including robotic Da Vinci surgery, a hybrid operating OR, innumerable surgical instruments, a vast number of specialties that provide world-class care, and they have exemplary leadership, particularly with COVID-19. And because they are experienced with infectious disease control, and I would like to share that apart from learning operating room nursing, we are privileged to have learned infectious disease control, particularly COVID-19. We learn about proactive health measures such as patient education, the use of information systems and AI. We learned about the different protocols in place and the different alert system that they have to control the outbreak. And so far, I am so happy to report that we are all fully vaccinated. And I would like to thank Chime Medical Center for also keeping us safe during this pandemic, that in the beginning of the program, while the world was experiencing the effects of the pandemic, life seemed almost normal here.
Wow.
And I would like to add that here at Chime Medical Center, there is health screening for health professionals such as ourselves. And also, every week our mental status is monitored. How is your stress level?
Wow.
How are you coping? And if you are in need of this service, it's available. The resources, every day we're provided with the face mask. We have been trained how to use the proper PPEs, which is the protective personal equipment. There are many, many things that we have learned here. And I'm so happy to add that apart from learning all about the technology and healthcare, we also had learned some culture and the language.
I was going to ask you, how's your Mandarin now?
It's better. So I want to say Joanne, which means good morning. Ni hao, which means hi, hello. And ni hao ma, how are you?
Nice. So anyone else has mastered Mandarin as yet? So let's come back to some of the things that you have learned. Clearly, being in Taiwan, you're in a state-of-the-art hospital, and you know the realities of when you come back to the government institutions that you work in. So how do you envision using the skills that you've learned within the realities of the hospitals that you'll return to?
I look at it in the protective measure and education. I think it all begins with prevention and education. if we go back and explain the importance of preparing for surgery, such as doing your testing, doing the necessary exams. Why is it important to remove the hair? Why is it important? And explain the surgical process to the Belizean population to protect infectious disease or surgical site infection. We could look at what we have. And also, I am thrilled to lobby for funding to improve our health care. I think it has to do twofold. It has to do with the funding, and it also has to do with the education. I feel that nurses seldom come to the forefront and explain what the situation is like. And I feel if we have dialogue with our Belizean community, I think the healthcare could improve to our upward mobility. And actually, my dream is that maybe one day we can use our skills for medical tourism. Have we considered this as a sector that we could develop?
Yeah. So you come back with ideas as to how to improve the system. Now, let me get Elvita, you have the mic there? So you guys have been gone for a year and a half, and I'm sure you keep up to date with the news in Belize. During that time, there was a very big focus on the nursing shortage in Belize and the challenges that the nursing community face. Tell me, you know, now being a Belizean nurse, going off and getting specialized training, you know, what do you think about the situation we face here with nursing?
Ms. Marlene, one thing I'm sure of is that the ORN specialty is in demand in our country, and therefore I think that our Ministry of Health and Welfare made a very good decision in the sense of investing 5 nurses so that we can improve and give services in this specialty so that our Belizeans can receive quality surgical services in the OR. I am quite familiar with the shortage of nurses. Everyone does. We are very short of nurses in Belize. But like I said, I believe that with this new specialty, we will be giving another level of care to our patients.
Nice. So wait, Vivian, you were at Western Regional. Where are the rest of you? Anybody at KHMH? No. Okay, go ahead.
There's no person from Central Health Region.
Okay.
And that is because we were sent here with the idea to strengthen the other regional institutions or hospitals to get to where we can be like Carl Hushner Memorial Hospital, where more surgeries can be carried out district instead of everyone being saturated in the city. So we wanted to expand the health system, expand the OR in the out district area.
We are all from the 3 of us are regional hospital, 1 from Southern Regional, which is myself, and the BF is from.
I don't think we heard you. You said 3 from Northern? Okay. Now this has got to be, you know, working within the regional hospitals and knowing the patients that you see, what they can afford, the type of care that they need. I mean, are you feeling motivated and inspired to come back to even improve upon the services that are available at these regional institutions?
Yes, I feel that we have been trained for the future. We have experience with modern technology, and I feel that given the resources, we can further develop the operating rooms in the out district.
Luz Bay?
We have all the enthusiasm, all the energy to go back and give our best to Belize. And I would take this opportunity to make this call to our Ministry of Health, because we all know our current state in Belize, and our health institutions really need improvement in many areas. And I think that we are prepared, but also our Ministry of Health needs to invest more in, not only in the OR, but in the ward, in the emergency area, in all the areas of the institution.
Yeah. So let me ask you, which nurses used to work in the operating theaters in these regional hospitals before you all went off to get trained?
We all came from the ward, emergency ward, surgical ward, general ward. Us have previous OR experience, so we are new to this field. So when we go back, we are willing to learn and ready to learn about these OR.
Nice. That's really great to hear. So, are you planning to perhaps share some of the lessons you've learned with the other nurses at your hospitals?
Of course, yes. When I know Belize, especially I can talk about Northern Regional Hospital. At the moment, only open surgeries are being done, and but when the time comes that we have laparoscopic surgeries or minimally invasive surgeries, then that would be the time I can share the knowledge gained here.
And apart from work, or apart from going back and sharing all of your knowledge, what are you ladies looking forward to the most about coming home? I'm sure you guys miss your families and friends a lot. Anyone can start. Why don't
Well, for me personally, I'm looking forward to see my family the first thing. We actually really do miss our Belizean food, I'm sure of all of that.
Oh, cool.
You know, it's one of the things we really miss a lot. Yeah, it's one of the two most important things. I just want to share. I just want to say that the longer you stay away from home, it makes you realize how much you love your country. So I personally can't wait to go back. I have my son, he's waiting on me, so I'm very excited to see him and then go to work.
Nice. All right, ladies. Well, when do you come home?
Very soon. At the ending of the month, we will be there.
Okay.
Home, people Belize.
Who do you want to say good morning to? Anybody that you want to give a special, maybe your son is watching right now?
Yeah, well, as for me, I would like to say a bright good morning to my son, Trevon. And I would like him to know that I love him and I dearly miss him as well.
I want to say very good morning to my mom, my dad, and my little brother. I'm sure they're very excited for my way to go back home. So hold on, I'll be back soon.
I would like to say good morning to my sister, my husband, my brother, my dad, and my nephews, and my baby, whom I'm sure they are watching. And I love you and miss you all. I'm so eager, excited to be back home with you all.
I would like to say good morning to my two sons, my sister, my mom, I miss you all. I love you.
Oh.
I'd like to say good morning to Diana Diaz, watching my sister, all the nurses at Western Regional Hospital and across the country of Belize. We are so happy to be here representing Belizean nurses. And also I'd like to thank Chime Medical Center staff that are also tuning in. I'd like to thank female medical teacher, superintendent, Chong Ping Chiu, medical deputy, Yu Tien, international official department, the Liu Chen Lu, affectionately known as Allison. I would like to thank the embassy of the Republic of China Taiwan who are watching. Thank you to the Ministry of Health and Wellness Belief. I would like to thank the past CEO, Dr. George Goff, DHS, Dr. Manzanero, the former Minister of Health, the regional health managers, the patient, our past nurse, and our current chief nurse, yeah.
All right. Well, ladies, it is lovely to see you there in Taiwan. I love your uniforms, and we know that you are coming home soon, but we did want to hear just a bit about your experience and say firsthand congratulations on completing your operation room training there in Taiwan in a time where I think the entire country has become aware of the shortage and the dedicated nurses that have been working. We're happy to celebrate you and your achievement.
Absolutely.
All right, take care and enjoy the last bit of time in Taiwan.
All
right.
And have a safe trip home, of course.
Yeah. Good night, we should say, right?
Yeah, good night. All right, and with that, we are going to be taking another short break, and when we come back, we are going to be talking all about jam rolls. So if you like a sweet breakfast, maybe you don't want to miss the next segment. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
As one of the largest cable and internet providers in Belize, CBC strives to provide our customers with the highest standards of quality, value, and service in all aspects of cable TV and internet. Monitoring our systems closely, our technicians combine creative planning and state-of-the-art technology with years of experience and training to develop and provide the most reliable and advanced cable and internet service to exceed your expectations. For CBC and our team of talented engineers, technicians, and customer service representatives, delivering less than the very best is never an option.
Vaccinated to protect myself, my family, my patients, and my community.
Good morning,
Nurse Ines here. I got my vaccine because I want to protect my family, especially my patients, and everybody around me. Everybody I come in contact with.
Mi nombre es Nurse Chinchilla. Me vacuné porque quiero proteger mis familias y mis pacientes.
I'm Dr. Nunes, internist at Solar General Hospital, and I got vaccinated to protect myself, my staff, and my patients.
Soy el doctor Eduardo García. He trabajado 22 años en Belice y yo me puse la vacuna del COVID por la sencilla razón de protegerme a mí mismo, proteger a mi familia y proteger al país de Belice, porque es importante pensar en Belice.
Hey son, how was your first day at sixth form?
Really cool.
It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent, and I add a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. Paid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly, and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
Introducing Edam A Cheese, the A+ Dutch cheese to hit the Belizean market. As the name says, it is of A-class quality, the best Dutch cheese in Belize. Edam A Cheese is creamier, less salty, and simply more delicious. Don't be left out. Get your A Cheese at a supermarket near you. A Cheese, exclusively distributed by Unitex Company Limited. Call us at 610-3626 or 610-8910. Follow us on Facebook at Unitex Belize.
Why, Tony?
Boy, kid, what you go on, man?
But actually come see you because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing that thing since April 15th, you know. And I just ran out to the last batch, must be about like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What is going on?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
And we're back. And as we said right before the break, we are going to be talking all about, and well, you can see right in front of us, we've got some food. We are joined by Rondine Craig, who is the owner and manager of Dits Restaurant, and we are going to be learning all about what they've got, and we're even going to be getting a little bit of a mini cooking lesson here. Good morning, Rondine.
Good morning, everybody.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
Right. Now, we were talking a little bit in the break before we started about how iconic Dits is in Belize. So why don't we start talking there before we get started talking about the food, just about the history and of Dits in Belize.
Yes, I think we're one of the oldest running Belizean restaurants in Belize. It's now in its third generation. It started off with my grandparents, Donald and Edna Craig, and also his sister, Aunt Dit, and that's where the name originates. Everybody called her Aunt Dit. For the older heads, they would know, everybody knew Aunt Dit. She was the lady that made all the sweets and pastries. And you know, our business started from a small panadas and fresco shop and evolved into what it is today.
Yeah.
And then
Was it always at that location?
Actually, it started right across the street from where we are now. But that was a brief time. But ever since then, we've been at the same location. And after my grandfather retired, my parents took it over, Walter and Elaine. And from then, after they passed away, I'm the one who took the reins and just tried to carry on the tradition.
60 years and counting.
Yes.
This is, I mean, such a big achievement for a Belizean-owned business, and in the food industry.
Yes, yes, yes.
What's the secret for you?
It's the customers, the Belizeans that support our business. Because at the end of the day, they're the one that keep the door open. They're the ones that keep my employees with me, that I'm so thankful to have. You know, they're a good group of ladies and gentlemen that are with me, and I'm happy with the staff that I have. But most especially, it's about the people that come and support our business.
Well, because your food has been consistent for as long as I know it, and I'm sure beyond.
Yes.
Yes. Now, tell me a bit about learning from the family, the secrets to the recipe. What is that like? Did you have to sign a confidentiality clause and say, I won't take it out of the family?
Well, like I said, the business started as a family business.
Yeah.
All the siblings, my aunts and uncle, all played a part in the business. They took a turn working shifts, either to the front of the house or the back of the house with the cooking and the baking. And you know, the family still does cooking and that type of stuff. And
yeah. And then you had always grown up learning how to make some of the stuff?
Yes. The recipes are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
There are little tweaks I've made to some of the recipes, but they're pretty much the same as they were. We have customers that from like 20, 30, 40 years ago, they come into the restaurant and just, for us, it's about the nostalgia of the place, you know? For me and my family members, it's just the people coming in with their own stories of when they were children and they coming in here with their family. And all of those is heartwarming to learn that everyone has their own little experience of what it's like to come to Dits. And that's a great feeling.
And we all have a Dits craving of some kind.
Yes.
Let me ask before I disclose mine. What is the most popular thing?
The jam rolls that you brought me here for.
That's a classic.
Clearly, that's mine too.
Yeah, and I think mine.
And it's, you know, I always, when we get it, it's always one of the things I say, man, it still tastes exactly the same. Like you crave just that taste.
Yes. That's what we strive to do, you know, keep the customers satisfied and try to keep that quality product at an affordable price where it can reach all different price points and people's budgets. And that's what we focus on mostly.
Do you have a favorite, or is that too?
I am more partial to the lemon pie and lemon tarts.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
Yes, and I was asking you before we started, I know that the coconut tart and pie is here, and I'm going to say giveaway alert, but not anything else. And they even made ice cream out of this coconut pie.
Correct.
That's when you know you have
Yes.
a brand, right?
Yes, from the ice cream shop.
Yeah.
Molly got in contact with me during our COVID-19. She did favors focusing on Belizean ingredients.
Yeah.
And she approached me with the idea of her doing a coconut pie, Bits coconut pie ice cream. And I jumped at the,
And it was delicious.
And she said that's one of their top selling flavors as well.
Listen, ice cream plus the creaminess of a coconut pie, that was just magic.
I can imagine.
All right, so I know that we're going to do some demos for jam roll making, right?
Yes.
And Gavin, what are you going to be doing? You say you'll take on the kneading?
Oh, I'll do whatever you guys tell me to do, I'll do.
You have some
So
gloves
where do we
right
start?
there.
All right.
That you can put on.
Sure.
So, Rondine, how many jam rolls you all make a day?
It varies.
People send in orders too, I'm sure.
Yes, we have we have customers that order by the dozen. We have customers that walk in and, we have customers that come in that's going away and they said, my family said, I don't want anything else but some jam rolls from Ditz. Don't bring it from anywhere else. I want it from Ditz.
All right, so
All right.
clearly she's not going to share the secret recipe with us.
yes.
But we're going to talk about process here. All right,
Yes.
Gavin. Now you know it's serious. He's taken off
getting-
his jacket to get into some kneading.
All right, there we go.
And
So we're gonna add some water to our flour mixture. And then you get into the kneading.
Just start getting in.
And just combine it till it's soft and pliable.
All right.
so what happened if somebody in your family they're not a good cook?
Actually, that's the case.
Were you to put them to sell instead?
Yes.
So if you're not a good chef, you better be a good salesperson.
Correct. Okay. I think we need a little bit more, but a little bit too much water.
There we go.
Yeah. Then we're just gonna get this to look like this.
Yes, yes. I needed mine already. That's why I just got this, just so you know, right?
We can go over here now?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we just flour the bottom and the top so it doesn't stick when we use the rolling pin. And there you go.
And whose recipe is this? Who's the original recipe?
To be honest, the recipe was passed on from my granddad and my parents, and I just took the recipe and continued on the same path with it now.
And you said you tweaked it?
Well, not the
You're
jam
not hearing
rolls,
it.
but some of the the lemon pie crust
so you
and
didn't mess
stuff
with
like
the
that.
jam
No,
roll?
no.
That was going to be a sin. All right.
All right.
That's it would usually go thinner, but we're
Correct.
using this plate.
Yes. So now, yeah.
What? All right, here we go.
When we're in the business, we have a large table that we use.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we
This
roll
is
it
the
out a lot
TV
thinner.
version, right?
So we would cut it to the size that we use. Pretty much. Then we put the jam on it. We use a local jam.
That's all she says.
Yeah,
right?
no, local, right? I think
Before I even asked the question.
And
you
we
don't get these secrets for free.
What? Okay, so if I'm going to make it at home, what's the best jam for me to use?
Anyone that suits you.
We're not getting anything out of this one, right?
All right. So this is what we do after we put the flour. The jam.
So you make your own jam?
No, it's locally made.
Okay.
And we again tweak it to our liking. Right. Put this on the side, and then it's just folding. As easy as that. And there we go. The jam rolls, and it's pretty easy.
They're usually much thinner than this. Clearly,
Yes.
I didn't do a great rolling job. Gavin, you're doing better with kneading than I did with
Yeah,
rolling.
it's coming together.
So that's pretty much it. And we have jam rolls.
You made that look way too easy. But I guess after all the years of doing this is kind of second nature to you now.
Pretty much. And then we put it on the pan. Put it in the oven to bake until it's brown or as dark as or as light as you'd like it, and that's pretty much it.
And then you eat it fresh out of the oven. That's my
That's the
favorite, when
finished
it's
product
nice
over there.
and warm.
Yes.
All right. So, okay. And then how do I do with my kneading? Is this?
Yeah.
It's almost.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's
there
good.
we go.
Yes.
Good. So you can sell this at Ditz later, and I can courtesy of me.
Oh. So, you know, I really think, how is the COVID-19, the pandemic, how has it affected business?
You know, I'm not different from any other business person that's going through anything. You know, COVID is a small part of, you know, the overall aspects of, you know, sometimes whether the business is doing good or not, you know. We have other factors that contribute to slow business or good business, you know. But for the most part, COVID has brought about its own changes as it makes you think of other streams of income that you can use for your business. Actually, during the time of COVID, I enrolled in a cake decorating class through Y and got certified. And so now I parlayed that into a small cake decorating business that I'm trying to grow.
Oh, nice. So I can get my decorated cake through Ditz too?
Yes.
Now, it's, and I'm glad you said that, because many people have had to diversify or scale down. But definitely, I know you're still a place that everybody goes to at some point in time. Usually when they come off the plane, this is one of the first places.
Yes.
And just, I think, what would be your lesson? We interview new entrepreneurs all the time on this show. And it's so great to have an iconic business owner as you are. What would you say to other businesses about having the type of longevity that Ditz has?
I think it's again about the people. And you know, we try to give the customer that feeling that, you know, we really appreciate your business and we're thankful for your business. You know, because at the end of the day, like I said, they're the people that keep the door open. And that we're forever thankful for. And I'm just trying to continue the legacy that my grandparents, my family members, my mom and dad, you know, we just want to put forward the best product that we can to keep the Belizean consumers engaged and just happy to come to our establishment.
Do you think your grandparents ever imagined this level of success or longevity?
I would hope that they did. Yes.
Right. And of course, this continues to grow as you go on. You know, you're not only here, but you're also adding more as the years goes on. And so, you know, as you said, you started out just selling, or your grandparents started out just selling panades and some other things, and we've seen how. Why don't we talk a little bit about that, about how the menu has grown and expanded beyond, you know, so what can we get for those who don't know?
When it comes to food items, we've expanded from just doing just rice and beans, the typical 1, 2, 3, rice and beans, chicken and salad. We've tried to diversify in our menu as well. We try to provide, every day we try to provide a different special that's different from the usual to give people other choices other than just the regular rice and beans. We do specials like lasagna, we do other Italian specials, we do like macaroni specials. You know, it varies, and those sell pretty well.
Yeah. And you just neglect the tamales.
I also have a funny story about
Tell us.
about the tamales. Actually, well, my grandmother, she was an avid bolito buyer. So my grandfather told her, well, you know, we can't support this with the business. So she chose to start her own tamales, selling tamales, in order for her to continue.
Yes. I like your grandma, you know.
So that's a funny story that I just had to put in there.
And I told you, I'm such a fan of your tamales too. It's just, it's the perfect consistency. expensive for me and how I love to have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Rondine, good.
No, I was just going to say we got to thank your grandma for taking that initiative.
So you know, figure out the exportation process yet for people now? People still have to come pack it up.
I've always thought of doing that exportation, but it's just the logistics of doing it all. Because I know jam rolls would be a thing that people would really want to just say, call up Ditz from Belize and say, send me a few dozen jam rolls and it's on the plane, or, you know.
I know.
But hopefully down
But
the way there's an avenue for that.
Couriers.
Yes,
Don't worry,
correct.
because anytime you leave, the family will ask you for something.
Yes.
Along these lines. All right. Well, we're so grateful that you came in to share your story with us and to just give us a little bit of a how-to of how to get as close as possible to the famous Ditz jam roll.
Thanks again for having me, and again, thanks for the Belizean public for always supporting our business.
So my question is, you already have your children in training? They already mastered all the recipes?
My daughter is one of the person that works in the front of the
I
house.
know that, that's why I ask.
And also my sister. You know, she's a teacher as well, but on weekends, she's always down there, and it's for the same reason, just for the interaction with the customers, you know, because I think it's something kind of special and unique. You know, a customer calls you up and you actually know them by name, and you know what they like, and I think that brings a special little
And being in business so long, I'm sure you've seen people, you know, grow up and bring their own families and stuff as well.
My mom took me as a kid. Now I take my mom. She won't like that I said that. But it is, I think, a part of just growing up in Belize that we all have our memories with Ditz and our favorite recipes. So I wonder if people are. The argument is usually between jam roll and coconut tart, right? Which one you said jam roll come out on top?
For the most part.
Okay. Gavin, your favorite is jam roll?
Coconut.
I
love coconut tarts.
All right.
Each has its own customer, but both are great.
Well, Rondine, thank you so much for coming in. When's the anniversary?
It's in October.
Okay.
So we'll try to see what we can do and do something special for the customers. So you just look out for that.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming in, and we appreciate you sharing with us just a little bit of what it's been like to be in a family business that's been around for so long. And of course, thank you for breakfast too. We appreciate that.
Problem.
We're going to go ahead and take our final break now. When we come back, we'll have our wrap up. So stay tuned.
Is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV, entertainment, anytime, anywhere.
Why, Tony?
Why, kid? What you going on, man?
I'm actually going to see because I need to buy a stack of them plastic plates and cups for my grocery shop because I run low.
Boy, I stopped importing things since April 15th, you know. And I just ran out to the last batch, must be about like 3 weeks back, you know.
Man, do I usually have anything? What is going on?
Check this, right? Under the new law, we ban all single-use plastics, so that the cups, plates, forks, spoons, and knives, all of that. Since April 15th, you can't import none of them. Starting January 15, 2021, you can't manufacture them. April 15, 2021, you can't sell them. And after July 14, 2021, if you get catch with any other thing, you will get fined.
Me never know this. I guess I have to make some changes then. I have to make the customers know that anything not available. Anyways, bro. Thanks, man.
No problem, man. Take care.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
And we're back, and we are just getting our show wrapped up this morning after a bunch of great conversations this morning. We want to say thanks, of course, to our first guest, the chairman of the Commission of Inquiry, Andrew Marshallek. He came to give us an update on the resumption of the commission, which is going to resume its hearings on the 16th of August. And we also spoke a little bit about the 10th and 11th Amendments to the Constitution. So that was a very enlightening conversation. So we want to say thank you to him for our first segment.
Conversation, yeah. We also want to say thank you to the 5 nurses who joined us from Taiwan this morning. Such a great conversation with 5 Belizean nurses who went to get specialized training in such a necessary skill. And one of the things I think that they highlighted, which is important to note, is that the scholarships were given or the training was offered to nurses from the regional hospitals so that they can be better equipped to be able to handle some of the surgeries there instead of constantly relying on the Central Health Region system. So that was really a great conversation. They've been out almost for the entire pandemic in Belize, and they'll return at the end of the month. So congratulations to our 5 Belizean nurses, and thank you for joining us this morning. And giveaway alert, so let me just say that now, right? As we mentioned, we had the owner/manager of DITS with us this morning, and they are giving, it's still warm, Gavin.
I know, right? So super, I can smell it. I can smell it.
So it's still warm.
And if you're watching before the break, if you're watching before the break, you know that the coconut pie is my favorite. So that's definitely why
you're not eligible to participate in our giveaway. So you know how this works, right? You got to get online, move away from your TV, get your phone, your tablet, your computer, log on to Facebook, and go to our page, Open Your Eyes BZ. Find the live stream, and the person who answers the question first in the comment section of the live stream will be the winner of the coconut pie.
Exactly.
All right.
Our question is...
Let's give them some time to get to that computer and to log on. I just want to say it is a pleasure to have DITS on this morning, and I know that we didn't get many secrets about the jam roll other than just, you know, use a local jam, and Gavin showed us how to knead. But the point is, really, when you have this craving, there's only one place you could get it from anyway. So, but I think for me, I think the biggest part is just understanding the history. 60 years, a family business, a Belizean-owned family restaurant that has been around for so long. All of us have our memories with Ditz. All of us have our favorite Ditz item.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course, it's been 60 years in the business, and all of us have our own special place for Ditz in our hearts.
And Stephen just reminded us we forgot milk cake.
I know, rice pudding.
And we forget rice pudding.
And I mean, there's so much things. I mean, right in front of us, you can see the array of just some of the pastries and treats that they have. But of course, they do have a full menu, and we were discussing. And if you want to check it out, then you should just go and see them in person. As Ms. Rondine was saying, they put their customers first, and that's probably the secret to how they've been in business for so long.
So the question for the giveaway is, are you ready?
What was the reason for Ditz starting to sell tamales, or the addition of tamales to its menu? Why was that added? And if you were watching our previous segment, you would already know. If you weren't, maybe you can rewind and see if you'll get there in time. But you know, with the stakes being so high, I'm pretty sure that we are going to get a winner pretty soon. So,
so Rondine shared that special story from her grandmother. That's such an interesting anecdote to know.
Yep. So yeah, one more time. That is why were tamales added to the Ditz menu back in the day.
All right, so once again, we're looking for the first correct answer on the live stream. And guess what? The producer will tell us when we have a winner. She will let us know. But in the meantime, we want to say thank you to everybody who passed through this morning. And you can always get in touch with us at Open Your Eyes at OYE at channel5belize.com.
Yep, and you can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as on Instagram at OYE Belize.
That's right.
We
do have a winner.
We're going to be announcing the winner in just a few. And do we have it?
Rhonda Major is the winner.
All right, Rhonda. So congrats. You are going to get your very own Ditz coconut pie. And just for those who may be interested, the answer to the question was so
that she could buy her own bolido.
Yep, and that was Rondine's grandma, the the original owner of Ditz. Of course, this is a family restaurant that started 2 generations ago. So bolido money was the answer.
And see, you never know, right?
Yeah, and we can all be grateful for that.
Yeah, I am. All right, but we got to go. So remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, please.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.